It is a quiet, universal frustration. You can do everything right, follow every rule, and still watch your wealth and prosperity vanish overnight, while misfortune seems to walk right through the front door completely uninvited. According to ancient Vedic texts, the wandering sage Narada took this exact paradox to Lord Krishna. He wanted a logical explanation for the seemingly random mechanics of karma and human fortune. Rather than offering abstract philosophy, Krishna answered with a precise case study, the story of King Dharmadhvaja, a man subjected to the ultimate moral stress test. King Dharmadhvaja operated from a position of absolute prosperity. His kingdom was defined by immense wealth, widespread fame, and an unparalleled reputation for charity. He maintained this prosperity through a strict personal economic guarantee. If any merchant in his kingdom failed to sell their goods by nightfall, the king himself would purchase the leftover inventory at full price, so no vendor ever suffered a loss. One evening, an anomaly appeared in the market. A mysterious vendor arrived carrying a useless box. Inside, he claimed, was the physical personification of poverty itself. The asking price was an exorbitant 1,000 gold coins. Unsurprisingly, 0 citizens stepped forward to buy a box of literal poverty. As the sun set, the king was forced to step in and honor his sweeping guarantee, paying the 1,000 gold coins despite knowing exactly what he was bringing into his home. Curious, leaning in, this raises an immediate question. Why would a highly successful leader willingly purchase guaranteed systemic ruin just to uphold a personal principle? This diagram models the architecture of prosperity, a stacked interdependent system of human virtues. At the wide foundational base, we have truth. Stacked sequentially on top are sacrifice, charity, fame, and glory, all supporting the apex block, wealth. The moment the king brought the box of poverty into his palace, the apex block destabilizes. The goddess of wealth, Lakshmi, departs the structure entirely, stating that she simply cannot coexist in a space that welcomes poverty. This triggers an immediate domino effect. Charity follows wealth out the door, because the act of giving strictly requires the presence of material resources. The cascading failure continues downward. Sacrifice and ritual abandon the king, operating on the stark logic that you cannot make offerings without charitable resources to fund them. Finally, the remaining upper structure gives way. Fame and glory crumble entirely. Public reputation cannot survive in a vacuum. It requires wealth, charity, or sacrifice to sustain it. Worldly success is rarely a solid state. It is a highly fragile chain of dependencies. Disrupt the top tier, and the entire system collapses overnight. Deep in the night, the final personification appeared before the king. Truth itself attempted to walk out, arguing that without wealth, charity, or glory, a king has no use for truth. The king stood his ground in the empty hall and presented an airtight logical counterargument. He had lost his wealth, his charity, and his glory, specifically because he refused to break his word and abandon truth. Therefore, truth had no logical grounds to abandon him. Faced with this undeniable logic, the personification of truth conceded defeat. It remained securely anchored to the king. Because truth was now an immovable object, the system is forced to reboot. Glory is rigidly bound to attach itself wherever truth stands absolute. From there, we see a rapid, cascading restoration. Fame follows glory, sacrifice follows fame, and charity follows sacrifice, rebuilding the structure. At the climax of this sequence, the goddess of wealth returns to the apex. She explains her highest cosmic duty. She is strictly obligated to protect and reside wherever truth is upheld. The mysterious vendor from the market revealed his true identity as Yama, the Lord of Justice. The useless box of poverty sitting in the king's palace instantly transformed into pure gold. Yama had engineered the entire exchange as a cosmic stress test, designed to find the king's breaking point. Lord Krishna's takeaway for Narada targets human behavior. We spend our lives desperately chasing the volatile upper tiers of the pyramid, obsessing over wealth, status, and fame. This side-by-side comparison illustrates the mechanics of that choice. On the left, building a life around wealth creates a top-heavy inverted pyramid that tips over at the slightest disruption. On the right, integrity and truth act as the only independent variables in the human experience, keeping the entire structure firmly anchored to the ground. If you anchor yourself entirely in truth, prosperity and success are no longer things you have to desperately chase. They become systemic forces, mathematically obligated to stay with you.